Well, it's Thursday, and you'll know what that means. As you know, New Japan continues with day two of World Tag League. So we're only going to focus on Block B matches only. Now, remember, we are now in the early stages of World Tag League. So bear with me, people. And then we move on with TNA. As you know, battle lines are being drawn for the upcoming pay per view Turning Point. So a lot of things could happen before then. So we're looking forward to see what happens. And then, of course, we move on with Ring of Honor featuring, of course, a proving ground match for the Ring of Honor World Women's Championship. And the ROH World Television title is on the line. Brian Cage defends the belt against AR Fox. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing, of course, as we continue with day 10 of Stardom, the Goddesses Tag League. As you know, we're almost close to the end or so, but we're looking forward to see what happens throughout the entirety of this event. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is the channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling news from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world. Pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. If you like what you see, please subscribe to us, so click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe it's time to ride into the sunset. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this is from Stardom. Okay, Stardom. As we continue with more of Tag League, we are now in day 10. This took place on the 20th of November in Hirosaki. Now, hopefully I pronounced it right. So let's begin with the non-tournament matches in case anybody asks. Our first match, we have a three-way match. We have Matoi Hamabe versus Aya Sakura versus Lady C. Now remember, Matoi is the brand new trainee who just debuted recently in New Blood, where she faced against Hana. Now, I cannot say much about her just yet until I see something that would surprise us. Now, of course, the most logical choice when you look at a match like this, most likely will be Matoi, who could be the one eating the pinfalls. But the real question is who was going to, of course, walk away with the win. I mean, look, we have seen Aya Sakura grown up almost a year. Not to mention she has grown up since she came back early this year from an 8 month injury that put her out sideline. And of course, Lady C, we know she is someone we can also back up as well. Not to mention she hasn't won the biggest or best match just yet. So either of them could win, but it was Aya Sakura with the high kick that sealed the deal for her to pick up the win. Now, as we continue with more of the non-tournament matches, our next match we have a tag team match. We have Azusa Inaba and Konami of Hate. They face against Peach Rock, Momo Kogo, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, of course, when it comes to Hate, you all know that they're gonna try to play dirty as possible. That's always been their case. But however, in this case, it was Mayu Iwatani who prevailed when she applied a crucifix on to Inaba, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, as we continue, we have more with Hate, and this time in a 6-woman tag match. Hate consistent of Raka, Sayaka Mitani, Nasuko Tora. They take on the Cosmic Angels, Sayaka Kurara, Yuna Mizumori, and Tam Nakano. Now remember, Hate has their issues towards the Cosmic Angels and Tam on various things. Not to mention Kamitani, who pinned Tam, is now aiming for the red belt and also declaring it was her fault that she lost so much of her career because of that. So basically, this is becoming more of a problem. However, it was, of course, Kurara who has a deep sided softness towards Kamitani since she debuted back in last year in December of 2023. Tried to reach out with her in many ways, but however, Kurara suffered the wrong side of the Star Crusher by Kamitani. So it seems that Kamitani is willing to take everything away from Tam, but the first thing she wants is the red belt. That's the thing that, but we probably will see that match possibly at Dream Queendom by the end of December of 2024. Now let's jump into the tournament matches. We start with the next two matches, I believe, and that's the Blue Goddesses block. First, we have Wing Gori versus Kohaku and Mei Sera. So nothing too significant in the match, but I know in the past we have seen a bit of a tensions between both Hanan and Meisira on every level. But however, as you know, Hanan has been unable never to beat Meisira in tag teams. This time she was able to provide that when she applied the 17 on her, and just like that, it's over. But this does give them the total points of 5, while Kohaku and Meisera also leads at 5. But also want to put this on note here. As you know, Meisera is the current high speed champion. I wouldn't be surprised if Hanan makes the choice to proceed for the high speed title. Since she defeated her, I'm sure she would definitely go for the belt. That is something we could see. If I was a betting man, I would say that she would aim for this belt and challenge her at Dream Queendom by the end of this year. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our next match, we have Hate Supreme, consistent of our current tag team champions, Tekla and Momo Watanabe. They take on EXV, consistent of Rian and Waka Tsukiyama. Now, of course, this match was going to fall in favor with Hate Supreme. That's always been their case. They're trying to prove a point in every way possible. But however, it was Rian who ended up on the wrong side of the B driver by Momo Watanabe, and just like that, they gave themselves Hate Supreme got themselves 8 points, while leaving Rian and Waka with just 4 points. Now, as we continue with with Tag League, we jump in with Red Goddesses block. We have God's Eye, consistent of Rana Yagami, Tomoka Inaba. They take on High Mate, members of EXV, consistent of Hanako and Micah. Now, so far they haven't lost a single match just yet, I believe. But however, this has shown that they are heading to maybe possibly be the team that could win their block and move on to the next level. But it was, of course, Micah with the Michinoku driver onto Yana Yagami, leaving them with just a total of 10 points. So, but however, as for Yagami and Inaba, they're still at 2. So I don't know if they will ever progress, so I think that's pretty much it. Our next match, we jump into the Blue Goddesses. Our next match is a Blue Goddesses block. We have Neo Genesis, consistent of Zuzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid. They take on, of course, Cosmic Angel members Sayuri Anu and, of course, Natsupoi. Now remember, there's history between both teams. Zuzu has been a close friend of Sayori Inu back in Ice Ribbon, so their history has always been there. But however, of course, Starlight Kid and Natsupoi, they're also rivals in the high speed weight. But however, Starlight Kid wants something that Natsupoi has, and that is, of course, the white belt. Now, however, I think one of you would think, okay, Starlight Kid could be the next person to challenge Natsupoi for the white belt. That is something we could expect. So I think this is more like not only just winning of points in this match, but more like how to say, try to build up momentum if that chance happens. However, that match did not do any well because it ended in a 20-minute time limit draw. So each team gets 2 points. So Neo Genesis walk away with 6, while Cosmic Angels walk away with 10. So basically that's pretty much it. However, they did have both Starlight Kid and Tsupoi had a little discussion. I wouldn't be surprised if she definitely wants to challenge her for the white belt. That is something we could see. We know she has challenged the white belt before, but came up short on every chance she's got. But right now, let's move on to our last and final match, which is our main event. This is part of the red block. We have O2 Line, members of Neo Genesis, Miyu Amasaki and Azumi. They take on FWC with star members Koguma and Ozuki. Now, of course, I think many people would say FWC could be the fan favorite in the tournament because they have been a dominating force as a tag team. I mean, individually, they could do no wrong, but however, when it comes to tag team, that's a different story. So, but however, it was Koguma with the diving body splash that allowed them to pick up the win, giving them the points of 10, while O2 Line remained at 2. So that's how the whole thing ends. And of course, there was a poach match promo. I don't know what they said, but pretty much that's how things end right there for them. So as we leave things like that with Stardom, let's move on with New Japan. We continue with more of New Japan Pro Wrestling's World Tag League. We're just going to focus now with the B block matches. So this is day 2 for anybody to know, but we are still in the early stages, so bear with me. Now, our first match, we have the National Classic consistent of the Felipe brothers, Stevie and Tomo. If you guys don't know who these guys are, they are a tag team brothers down in Australia, and they're also members of the Bullet Club Rogue Army, which is led by none other than the Rogue General himself, Balak Fale. So basically, they are part of the Bullet Club family. But they face against Yado and Hiroshi Tanahashi. So basically, you can tell that this match was going to fall in favor with, of course, with the natural classics due to the fact that they're a bit more younger, because we have seen over time Tanahashi's knees have been giving him out for a while, that sort of thing. But it was, of course, Stevie that put away Yado in a figure 4 leg lock, just like that. It was over. They get their first 2 points. Our next match, we have, well, I don't know if you can call them just 5 guys, because right now it's just 4, and one is currently out of injury. But I like to call them Taka Taichi, Taka Michinoku, and Taichi. So it's kind of interesting to see Taka involved, because many of us who know him, he's a junior heavyweight competitor. Looks like he's jumping into the heavyweight. And they face against United Empire's Hinare and Great Khan, our current tag team champions. But also, don't forget, Great Khan is the current KOPW champion. Now, many of you may have thought in this mind, because, Taka Michinoku, who is a junior heavyweight, probably will be the reason they lose this match. But nope, it was Taichi who picked up the win when he put Great Khan in the Black Mephisto, and just like that, he wins. So basically, it's the biggest upset for 2 obvious reasons. Taichi pinned the Great Khan. Now remember, if Taka Taichi does not win the tournament, they can cash in an opportunity of the tag team titles. So that is also an optional. But don't forget, Taichi does have an option to challenge the Great Khan for the KOPW title. That is something we could definitely see down the road. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match, well, I really hate these guys. The House of Morons, the House of Torture, Ren Narita and Evil taking on the 2/3 of the never openweight 6-man tag team champions, Bolton, Oleg, and Yano. But of course, their usual tactics is always to try to make the difference makers for these scumbags. That's always been their case. And of course, effing Dick shows up too. And the ref gets taken out and the whole thing. And then of course, Dick and Moron, or should I say Evil, they applied the magic killer on Yano, and just like that, Evil pins Yano, and like that. And of course, it's no secret that Evil and the rest of the House of Torture are aiming for the never openweight title because they're still convinced, oh, it's a fluke that they beat us. Yeah, they're also just like the Bullet Club War Dogs. They're also big babies with that need big diapers. That's the reason they complain like little girls. But we'll see what happens. But however, as you know, they get 2 points as well. Now, our main event, we have TMDK's Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols, our former tag champions. They take on LIJ's Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito. Now, it's interesting to see that because, as you know, Hiromu has challenged heavyweight competitors and he has brought up upsets before. So that's always been played out. But the real question is if this could be another upset in some capacity, because you got to remember, if they defeat TMDK, they could be in line in the future for the IWGP tag team titles. That's something they could do. But it was Naito with the Destino onto Shane Hayes, and just like that, it was over. So that pretty much it. So every team won their first 2 points. Natural Classics, Taka Taichi, House of Losers, and of course, LIJ's Hiromu and Naito. So we'll see how things will progress down the road for them. But for now, let's move on with TNA. Okay, TNA. As you know, we are heading to Turning Point. So anything could happen before we get there. Now, our first match, this is for the TNA Knockouts World title between Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich. Now, ever since Masha won this belt, Alicia Edwards been running her mouth telling Masha that she's been holding this belt to keep it warm for her. But however, this match is an indication who will face Jordynne Grace, who Jordynne Grace is now cashing in her rematch clause. So that's kind of what's been happening. But however, of course, Alicia Edwards did not go through with it until she ended up on a package pile driver, allowing for Masha to retain the belt. However, Tasha Steelz showed up, so did Jordynne Grace. So basically, that's been settled. But later on, we did see, of course, Masha and Jordynne talk it out. Apparently, they have a better idea for Turning Point, a 2 out of 3 falls match. So this is going to be an intensified match to watch. So, excuse me. All right, sorry. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Now, our next match, we have Jody Threat versus Ash by Elegance. Now, of course, we've been seeing Spitfire been dealing with Ash and Heather, along with that weasel of a stooge who keeps getting in the way. However, last time we did see Danny Luna take out Heather, but the last time Jody deal with, of course, with Ash is thanks to that Stooge and Heather Reckless. Seems now this is the possibility they could aim for the TNA Knockouts tag team titles. But once again, we did see the Stooge and Heather get involved. But it was Ash by Elegance with the Swanton, and just like that, it was over. Now, Mike Santana, in fact, was in the ring doing a promo. Now, it's no secret that Mike Santana's ultimate goal is to aim for the TNA World title. But however, when it comes to TNA World title, it appears the so-called King has something to do because he has the collar shot trophy. But however, Mike Santana told Frankie that he'll deal with him in Turning Point, and he tell people that he can't wait to whoop that ass. And of course, everybody were chanting that back and forth. But however, Frank Kazarian has to contend with Rhino, who apparently humiliated him last time. And of course, he tried to do the same thing again. But this time he used the ropes to assist him. Now, here's the thing. Frankie Kazarian may have walked away with the win against Rhino, but he got gored. That's right, he got gored, leaving Rhino getting the last laugh. What a dumbass. So he didn't see that one coming. But I'm sure Frank Kazarian is not too worried, because as long as he has to call your shot gauntlet, well, he should know he got humiliated, but he's too chicken to accept it. Now, recently we've been seeing a lot of developments with Steve Macklin. Many of you saw what happened. This little vignette where you see, of course, he goes to a bar and he started drinking. And then, of course, it seems that as soon as he left the bar, Eric Young shows up out of nowhere. And then he goes to a motel room and start reminiscing about his past during his service with the military. And then, of course, things have been going kind of crazy. We don't know what's going on, but at the end of the vignette, we did see Eric Young. I don't know what's going on or what exactly is the storyline. It seems like Eric Young is trying to prepare him for something, but I don't know what, but we will see. Now, our next match, we have Leon Slater teaming up with Laredo Kid to take on the System, more specifically a JDC and our current X Division champion Moose. So that kind of sets it out. But however, of course, we know that Leon Slater is determined to one day win the X Division title. He's trying to be the new version of the Amazing Red. If you guys know who he is, then you guys know what I'm talking about. Those who don't know who he is, the Amazing Red is kind of like the East Coast version of Rey Mysterio, but without the mask. As you know, Rey Mysterio has the 619. Amazing Red has the 718, which is the area code to Brooklyn. But of course, Leon Slater pulled a pretty good win when he defeated JDC. And of course, like any other story, a loser can't stand losing. So he attacked Leon Slater, and luckily, of course, Laredo Kid showed up with the chair, taking out both Moose and JDC. Now, we did see Joe Hendry doing another promo. Much like Mike Santana and Frank Kazarian, he's also aiming that he will pursue for the TNA World title down the road. We just don't know when. So we'll see what happens. Now, we do see a video promo with Nick Mena talking about Hendry, but he also knows he has one thing on his mind right now. In Turning Point, he will deal with Eddie Edwards, but he knows he's not an idiot. He knows the System will do whatever it takes to have the TNA World title back in the System. That's their ultimate goal, but we will see what happens. Our next match, this is the return match of Savannah Evans after she was out. She takes on Brinley Jade. Now remember, Savannah Evans did attack Li Ying Lee after, she just showed up. Now, of course, this match ended with Evans applying the full Nelson slam, and just like that, it was over. In the back of my mind, I thought she would show up and attack her, but no, it did not. Now, in our main event, we have Jake Something, Alex Hammerstone, and Trent Seven taking on Ace, Austin, and the Hardys. Now, of course, we don't know how this was going to play out. I thought Ace Austin did a pretty good job, but however, Trent Seven low blowed Austin, and the referee didn't see it because he was distracted with the chaos outside. Then, of course, he pulled a burning hammer, allowing for Seven to pick up the win. And then, of course, there was the beatdown coming down. But luckily, Kushida and the Rascals showed up to give them a helping hand until they meet, of course, Austin and the Hardys at, of course, Turning Point. So we'll see where that leads us there. So we are done with TNA. Let's move on with Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor. It opened up on Helico taking on Gabe Kidd. So yeah, the loudmouth crybaby as well also showed up on this particular day. Now, of course, we were going to see some technical aspects from a Helico, but when it comes to Gabe Kidd being a dangerous wrestler, he was going to prevail, but it only took 2 pile drivers to put away a Helico in order to pick up the win. So just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have JD Drake and Beef taking on the members of the Shane Taylor Promotions, Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. Now, I have to say, this is a very good match because it showed a bit of the growing cohesion between both Beef and JD Drake. That's always been clear. But however, it was Shane Taylor with a big fist, then then of course a big killer splash, allowing them to pick onto JD Drake to pick up the win. However, everybody in the Shane Taylor promotions decided to give a beatdown onto JD Drake, but Beef decided to cover him to protect him, and luckily the members of the United Kingdom showed up to give a helping hand. We're talking about, of course, the Undisputed Kingdom, I should say, Taven and Bennett. Now remember, those two do have a bit of history with, of course, with the infantry, which is no secret. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, we do see a video promo by none other than Righteous, as you know. Dutch has been talking about Dustin Rhodes and all this other stuff, saying that Dustin sees him as the son that Dustin could be, but now it's becoming personal. But if I was Dutch, I'd be careful what he says. They think they're confident enough they could walk away as the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. So we will see where that leads us. Our next match, we have Serpentico taking on Kevin Knight. A pretty good match, not going to lie about that. But I kind of figured that this match was going to fall in favor with Kevin Knight. He applied a springboard forearm, and just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have Mike Bennett taking on Tomohiro Ishii, which is a big warm-up for Ishii to take on Jericho for the Ring of Honor World title. So I thought it was going to be a pretty good one. Of course, there was going to be some great wrestling, but in the end, it was Ishii to pick up the win with the Brain Buster, and just like that, it was over. Next match, we have the annoyance of Mark Sterling along with Arya Daivari taking on Shingo Takagi. Yep, the last of the dragons showed up. And I just hope that Shingo just shut the hell up, Mark Sterling. That's what I wanted. But however, Arya could not get away from Shingo when he ended up on the last of the dragon. And just like that, it was over. Our next match is a proving ground match for the ROH Women's World title. We have Layla Gray versus Athena. Now, Layla Gray made this match happen, so you would think that maybe Layla Gray may have a chance, but however, she has to only hold on to 10 minutes. But so far, that did not happen because, of course, Athena walked away with a chokehold, and just like that, it was over. Our main event is the ROH World Television title. AR Fox versus Brian Cage. Of course, AR Fox tried to use his agility, whatever he can, but when it comes to Brian Cage, he's a beast, he's a monster. He is willing to destroy anybody that stands in his way, and that's exactly what he did when he applied the drill claw, and just like that, it was over. So, Brian Cage retained the belt. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for all our reviews, especially Ring of Honor. I believe it's time to do our last and final thing, and that is, of course, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events with the promotions. We have GCW stuff. As you know, we have the American Dream taking place on the 23rd of November. They announced Masha Slamovich taking on Tana Jackson, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Then, of course, on December 1st in Chicago for the Say You Will event, Gringo Loco taking on Micro Man. Yep, the very same one. Then we have, of course, Scene of a Crime that takes place on the 13th of December in Phoenix, Arizona. Matthew Justice taking on Broski Jimmy. So that's going to be interesting. Now, as you know, I mentioned that the GCW returns to Seattle for Take Care on the 28th of December. Names have been announced. We have Mance Warner, Matt Cardona, Masha Slamovich, Rich Swann, the Bollywood Boys, and Effie. So that's pretty much of our updates with GCW. Now for other updates with the promotions itself, We have Arrival on 3. By the time this video is out, the show is going to happen. Homicide will take on Drew Parker. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we have Zachary Wentz taking on Michael Oku. Then, of course, on the 20th, no, on the 30th of November in Osaka, Sendai Girls will be in action. They announced a 6-woman tag match. Lena Cross, Veni, and Zones will take on Dash Shizako, Hiroyo Matsumoto, and Yu. Uh, Continuing on, we have, of course, the 3rd anniversary by Deadlock Pro Wrestling, DPW, taking place on the 8th of December. The DPW World Tag Team titles will be defended. Speedball something will take on Violence is Forever. Then on January 11th, we have 2 shows happening on the same day. The first one is MLW Kings of the Coliseum. Arvena will be making his presence known, all the way from CML. Then we have Prestige Wrestling for Roseland 10 taking place on that very same day. The Prestige Tag Team titles will be defended. Sinner and Saints will defend their belts against Ultra Power. And then, of course, we have Kylie Ray will be in action to take on Matt Brannigan. So that's pretty much for upcoming events happening. So let's talk about, of course, some developments. Many of you know there's been some new names that have been announced for the WWE ID. The first one is Aaron Roberts. Don't know much about him, but the next person, many of you know this, Kylie Ray. That's right, Kylie Ray has been given an opportunity for the WWE ID program. Now, I know there's been a lot of concerns by certain people. Many of you may know that Kylie Ray has dealt with her own personal issues, mostly her mental well-being. There are those who are saying that she's not reliable, but we will see what happens. I mean, as much as I want to see her succeed, I'm so concerned for her well-being. I'm not putting this like it's a bad thing, but we know that's always been the issue right there. Now for our last development, Tony Khan gave his response about Toni Storm. Many of you may have heard that Toni Storm said she's retiring. This is what Tony Khan had to say. Let me pull it up. I think that the reports of her demise have been greatly exaggerated. I still expect Toni will have a great wrestling career, but she seems really struggling clearly with what's happened. She lost the world title, she lost her protege, and I think she feels like she's lost everything. And now she lost. I hope that Storm can find herself and come back to us in AEW, because Timeless Storm is a great part of AEW, definitely. You know, there's a part of me that's thinking, okay, maybe we're not going to see Timeless Toni Storm. What do we do see the Toni Storm that we know? You know, the original look. It kind of brings me back to, of course, Hulk Hogan. Even though I know this is a subject that we don't talk, but I'm using it as an example. Many of you remember when he was still doing that whole black and white thing after he kicked out of the NWO. He went back to his red and yellow color scheme back when WCW still were around. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Toni Storm would do, because that would be a lot of fun to watch. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we will continue, I believe, with New Japan, with their World Tag League. I think this is day 3. Like I said, we're still early. And then, of course, we have AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. So we'll see how things will progress from there. But at the moment, we'll leave things as it is and move forward. But as of right now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.